Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on to your hats and be ready to learn and laugh with the Outback Stockman, John Hawke.
I think I'll just pull it up about here before I end up in the grandstand. What do you think? Welcome to the Outback Stockman Show. And you know you're in the Outback. You've been travelling for days to get here. I've been waiting for you. And I'm a stockman, so now all we really need is a show. Are you in the mood for a show? Yeah! Well, I like the sound of that. So I thought I might do in the limited time we have together is, rather than just put on a show, I thought it might be more like show and tell. I'm going to try and open a door, let you have a bit of a look through, see what it might be like working in the rural industry, the pastoral sector. There may be some amongst us that have been doing this for even longer than I have. And there will be some amongst us that have absolutely no idea what the bloody hell we're doing out here. So where do we start? What's a stockman? A stockman is someone who applies stockmanship calmly and ethically. They work with their animals pretty well on a daily basis. That's simple, isn't it? So what makes the Outback stockman a bit different from his southern counterparts or those from overseas? I've given that some thought, and I think the answer is this. The Outback isn't very productive, so you need a fair bit of it if you're going to make a quid running sheep or cattle, okay? Outback stockmen don't start their day on foot with their dogs and go, well, I'm going mustering. Apparently they do that in some of them smaller areas, like over in Europe and that. So I'm going to give you a brief outline of some of my life, just to give you a bit of an idea where it might take you, what you might get up to. I was born on the Coorong in South Australia. South Australians, where are you? Quietly over here and here. Oh, now I can hear them. Now I'm from a little place called Salt Creek. As my mother says, it's making headlines again. They keep burying backpackers in the sand dunes. I guess the digging's easy. But if you're not into burying backpackers, there's not a whole lot else happening at Salt Creek. So they sent me off to boarding school when I was 10. By the time I was 16, I'd been there quite long enough. So I came to an arrangement with the headmaster whereby I could go into the workforce. Sounds better that way, doesn't it? I think you followed me. I spent 12 months riding track work, working on a station, and then my grandfather, who was sort of calling the shots because Dad was pretty loose, he decided that the Long Ridge Pastoral College in Queensland might be just the shot for young John. It's up on the ridge up there, and this is the 50th year it's been in operation. Big celebrations planned for September. So if you feel like a change of lifestyle, or you've got kids or nieces or nephews, and the tertiary education's not their strongest suit, you can do worse. You can punch them through a course at the Long Ridge Pastoral College and send them into the Outback because we need a bit of fresh blood. So I completed that course and then I went off working at Yarraka. Now you're looking straight at it. It's 200 miles due south, straight out there. And I was having a wacko time down there, doing a bit of ringing, you know. Actually, just on that, I took a photograph of a young family at the big statue about 3 weeks ago. And they drew to my attention. I see the statue, it's called the ringer. How does this terminology come about? We're from down south. We talk about jackaroos, gillaroos, stockmen. What's this ringer thing? I realised that you don't all know how that terminology came about, so I'll tell you. Let's say, for instance, you've got a mob of cattle and they are absolutely bolting. Even if you can get to the lead of them, you won't block them. They'll go over the top of you, left of you, right of you. In fact, you're making matters worse. You're splitting them up. You don't even try and block them up. You just go up on one side of the mob and you just tip the lead over a little bit. If there's 2 or 3 of you, all go to one side. Okay? Because you can't block them, they're galloping cattle. But whilst I haven't been able to block them, I now have them galloping in a ring, do I not? I haven't stopped them, but I haven't lost them. I'm still here. Eventually they'll pull up. I think that's why it's a term that applies to stockmen in the north of Australia, where sometimes we haven't handled our stockers off and they can be a bit flighty. Anyway, I got sidetracked, sorry about that. So I'm doing my ringing or jackarooing, whatever you choose to call it. And then an opportunity arose where I could go contract mustering. And this is probably where my life took a little divergence. See, we love the stock work when we're working on stations, that's why we do it. But it is watered down somewhat with all the other jobs that have to take place. Fences fall down, you've got to put it back up. Machinery breaks down, you've got to fix it. But when you go contract mustering, well, that's more Kelpie style. You just go from station to station, just doing the stock work. Big cattle work finishes here tonight, you're just starting, someone else is shearing over there tomorrow. And this is how you find yourself in your mid-50s, with an aversion to fencing, and no ability with a spanner whatsoever. Because all I did was chase the stock around. Chased merino sheep out of the Gidgee around Yarraka, goats out of the mountains. I've successfully trapped brumbies. I spent 4 years in bull catching camps up in the Gulf of Carpentaria. That was lively work. We used to use short wheelbase petrol Toyotas. They looked a little bit like that old girl over there when we started, not for long. And you get into the scrub and you hunt out the clear skin bulls and you give them one on the backside and hopefully you've got your foot on them before they're standing back up, and you put a strap on their hind legs, one on their front legs, and you skin them up into a truck one at a time. Good lively work. But eventually a man's got to tidy his act up. So I got married. And I moved into the township of Yarraka, punching the population out by 10%. I didn't have multiple wives, there was only 20 people there till I moved down. I got the bride from Blackwell, there's heaps of them up there. Anyway, so life is good for me. I'm in a house in a town, I have a wife, I have a phone number for the first time in my life. But I had a little problem, I was between driver's licenses at the time. I was just having a 2-year sabbatical. Yeah, it was a good one, that one. Anyway, I love this demographic. You say that to predominantly 30-year-olds and they go, where'd you go? You just got caught, same as us, keep going, keep going. Anyway, my problem was this. The nearest public transport was 200 miles away, back here in Longreach. And my neighbour was the policeman. I'll tell you something for free. I don't know if anyone has been to Yarraka, but I was renting the school teacher's residence. Now I can tell you something. If you are in a town and the population of the whole town is 22 people, and your neighbour is the walloper, it's really hard to get around if you're the guy with no driver's licence. So I took myself to New South Wales. I went to a town called Kempsey, great town. And I learnt to fly, and I came back 2 weeks later to the day in a Cessna 150. That's the little brother of that 172 that's parked over there. That's the world's most popular private aircraft. The 150's very similar, just slightly smaller in dimensions. It just has room for 2 people in the front and 5 kelpies in the back. I didn't even want to be a pilot. They forced me up there by taking me off the roads. While I was up there, I did 10,500 hours of aerial mustering. Now the reason I tell you this is because some of you might have had a preconceived idea when you came in and sat down. Outback Stockmen, are they still all on the horses? Or are they riding the motorbikes now? What are they doing? I'm here to tell you there's thousands of us. And right now, some will be on horseback, some will be on motorbikes, some will be in 4-wheel drives, and some will be in that third dimension up above us, in either fixed wings or rotaries. And I think that's what makes the Outback Stockmen that little bit different. We are very, very mobile people, because it's a big place, okay? Thank you for your patience, that's just a little introduction. Now I promise I'll get into it, okay? Thank you. Oh, they're a good crowd, Kenny, they're clapping. They're clapping already, we like the clapping. We do, come on mate. People say to me sometimes, the horse, he's pretty well superseded, isn't he? Just use him for sport and that? No. No, the horse is still very much in vogue. All that happened was, believe it or not, there's less of us that live out here now than there used to be. Last time I looked, Australia was the same size. So we needed a few more tools in the toolbox so we could get around. But no, we still use the horse. Now, you know, everyone looks for something different in a horse, but some people, they want a really comfortable seat, some want this and some want that. Come on. I personally, for me, the most important thing for me in a horse is a horse that's going to cover some country, all right? Because it's a big place out here. I don't mind the first 6 hours of the day before lunchtime, but I don't want to be kicking my horse all afternoon. Makes it too long a day in the saddle when you've got to work like too hard. So I like a horse that likes to step out, as I say,